Hey there, friends. In the journey of learning English, one of the most common things I hear is people saying, I want to improve my English. It seems like a goal, right? But it's actually as hazy as a thick fog. It's just like when you plan a trip and all you say is, I want to go somewhere. Well, where exactly? Are we heading to the freezing Arctic or the sunny Caribbean? Are we going to a bustling city full of skyscrapers or a peaceful countryside with meadows and streams? Without specific details, you can't even start packing your bags or choosing the right mode of transportation. The same goes for English learning. I had a student, let's call her Lily. She was super enthusiastic about learning English. She spent countless hours every week watching all sorts of YouTube videos, from grammar tutorials to random English vlogs. She also downloaded and used almost every popular language app you can think of. She was constantly on her phone or computer, doing exercises, listening to dialogues, and memorizing words. But months and even years passed, and she felt like she was still stuck at the same level. When we sat down and talked, I asked her about her goal, and all she could say was, I want to improve my English. I then asked her, okay, but for what? What do you want to be able to do with your improved English? She was a bit taken aback. It turned out she had never really thought about it. She was just following what others were doing and what the so-called language learning gurus were recommending. So, we started to dig deeper. We thought about her daily life and work. She realized that she often had to participate in team meetings where she felt shy and nervous about speaking up in English. And that's when it clicked. Her new goal became, I want to be able to express my ideas clearly and confidently in my weekly team meetings. With this specific goal in mind, everything changed. She no longer wasted time on those videos that had nothing to do with meeting conversations. She could now focus on learning vocabulary and phrases related to work discussions. She also knew exactly how to measure her progress. For example, she could count how many times she was able to contribute to the meeting without hesitation, or how many new work-related words she could use correctly. This shows that a clear and specific goal is like a bright light that guides you through the maze of English learning. Now, let's talk about a really interesting psychological concept called social proof. You see, we humans are social animals, and we often look to others for guidance, especially when we're not sure about something. In the world of English learning, this is super evident. Take my student Tom, for example. He was really eager to improve his English, but he didn't know where to start. So, he did what most people do. He started following the trends. He saw that a lot of influencers were recommending reading The Economist to improve English. So, he bought a subscription and started reading it religiously every day. He also noticed that many people were watching English TV shows like The Big Bang Theory and Modern Family with subtitles, and said it was a great way to practice listening and understanding. So, he spent hours and hours in front of the TV, binge-watching those shows. And of course, he downloaded all the popular language apps that had thousands of downloads and good reviews. He thought he was doing everything right. But after a year of this, what happened? When he had to give a presentation at work, he was still struggling. His English sounded choppy and unnatural. In team discussions, he couldn't keep up with the flow of the conversation. He could talk about the plots of those TV shows, but when it came to real work-related topics, he was lost. Why did this happen? Because he fell into the social proof trap. He forgot to consider his own actual needs. Sure, reading The Economist and watching popular TV shows can be helpful for some people, but it might not be the best fit for everyone. For Tom, He needed to focus more on business English and presentation skills. If he had thought about the situations where he actually needed English, like giving presentations, negotiating with clients, or writing professional emails, he could have chosen more relevant learning materials. Maybe he could have subscribed to business podcasts or read industry-related articles in English. This way, he would have been learning the kind of English that he actually needed in his work and life, rather than just following the crowd and doing what everyone else was doing. Another big mistake that many English learners make is relying too much on their native language translation. It's like having a crutch that you depend on too much, and eventually, it stops you from walking on your own. Think about it. Have you ever been in an English meeting and you just stared at the translated subtitles, not really trying to understand the English itself? Or when you practice writing or speaking, do you always have a native language translation next to every English sentence, as if you can't think in English without it? And when you learn new words, do you immediately reach for the dictionary to find the native language meaning, without even looking at the English examples or trying to understand the context? I had a student named Lucy. She was really smart, but her English progress was slow. Every time she heard or read English, she would automatically translate it into her native language in her head. So, when she tried to speak English, it was a very slow and awkward process. She would think of something in her native language first, and then try to find the right English words to translate it. This made her conversations sound very stilted. The solution is to learn English with English. It might seem a bit difficult at first, especially if you're used to relying on translation. But it's like learning to ride a bike. Once you get the hang of it, it becomes much easier. For example, instead of using a dictionary with native language translations, you can use tools like ChatGPT. If you come across a word or a sentence that you don't understand, you can ask ChatGPT to explain it to you in simpler English. You can ask it to give you examples of how to use that word or phrase in a sentence. Or you can even ask it to explain it as if you were a young child, so that it's really easy to understand. This way, you're using English to understand English, and you're gradually breaking free from the translation trap. Now that we've identified these 3 common and detrimental mistakes in English learning, it's crucial to know how to move past them and make significant strides. First and foremost, when it comes to goal setting, be as specific as possible. Sit down and think about the exact scenarios where you want to use English. Is it for giving presentations at work? Then focus on learning the vocabulary and expressions related to your field. Practice structuring your thoughts clearly and persuasively, and work on your pronunciation and intonation to sound confident and professional. If it's for socializing with international friends, learn casual and friendly phrases, idioms, and cultural references that can help you connect on a deeper level. Regarding the social proof trap, take the time to assess your own learning style and needs. Don't just jump on the bandwagon because something is popular. If you're a visual learner, perhaps look for English language movies or documentaries that interest you and study the language used in them. If you learn better through interaction, find language exchange partners or join online English discussion groups. Experiment with different resources and methods until you find what truly suits you and helps you progress. To overcome the over-reliance on native language translation, immerse yourself in the English language as much as possible. Listen to English podcasts, radio shows, or audiobooks during your commute or while doing household chores. Try to write a daily journal in English, describing your thoughts, experiences, and feelings without translating. When you encounter a new word or phrase, use context clues and online English dictionaries to understand its meaning and usage. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's through trial and error that we learn and grow. By being vigilant about these mistakes and implementing these strategies, you'll be well on your way to achieving greater proficiency and confidence in your English learning journey. So, let's take that first step today and start making a real difference in our English skills.